What's going on, people? Old Spy here, and welcome to Night Souls. Now, Night Souls is going to be a Demon Souls walkthrough that is designed to show new players that are new to the Soul series, specifically new to Demon Souls, how to make it through these games in the most painless fashion possible. Basically, how to have fun and not get frustrated. So the idea behind this build is going to be a night build, pretty much a quality build, which for those of you who don't know, quality, as you can see on the screen, would use both strength and dex to determine what weapons are available to them. And that's going to make it kind of versatile, because the real idea behind it is to get people through this first playthrough so that when they go into New Game Plus, they can discover the game fully on their own, which means there's not going to be a whole lot of spoilers. We're not going to be 100%ing every item. We're not going to chase down and find every NPC and exhaust all the dialogue. We're not going to go through all the lore. It's going to be a very basic playthrough. It's going to be a playthrough based on my experiences. So you're going to see a lot of my habits, a lot of my play style is going to come through. But my idea is, again, to get people into these games, to show people that they're not as hard as people say they are, that they can be negotiated, I don't want to say with relative ease, but with enjoyment and not frustration. So now that I've got that all the way out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. You see, we've got the Nameless Knight ready to take on the world of Demon Souls.
King Alant XII, by channeling the power of souls, brought unprecedented prosperity to his northern kingdom of Boletaria. That is, until the colorless deep fog swept across the land. Boletaria was cut off from the outside world, and those who dared penetrate the deep fog never returned. But Valarfax of the royal Twin Fangs broke free from the fog and told the world of Boletaria's plight. That the old King Alant had aroused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons. The demons hunt down men and claim their souls. Those who lose their souls also lose their minds. The mad attack the sane, and chaos reigns. Valarfax spoke of the enticing power of the demon souls. Each time a demon claims a human soul, the demon's own soul is invigorated by the life force, and the power of a mature demon soul is beyond human imagination. The legend spread quickly. Mighty warriors were drawn to the accursed land, but none have returned. Bjor of the Twin Fangs, Yurt the Silent Chief, Sage Urbane, Skurver the Wanderer, the Sixth Saint Astraea and her knight Garl Vinland, and Sage Frake the Visionary. The colorless deep fog slowly creeps beyond Boletaria's borders. Humankind faces a slow and steady extinction. The deep fog will eventually swallow all lands near and far. But Boletaria has one final hope. A lone warrior who has braved the baneful fog. Has the land found its savior, or have the demons found a new slave?
Okay, so that's going to be pretty much. I wanted to get the introduction in there. That's pretty much going to be the only piece of story that we really play out throughout this. So I'll be skipping some different cutscenes and stuff like that as we go. And we are going to do the Nexus tutorial so we can talk about a few things and also fight the tutorial boss.
Brave soul who fears not death. I shall guide you. So that you may lull the old one back to slumber.
All right. Okay, so getting started here. We're going to play in obviously as the knight class. And what I'm going to demonstrate is how you can make it through the game with basic equipment. So most of the game we're going to be playing just like this. We're going to swap out some weapons here and there. And towards the end, we will be making a kind of a wholesale change just so I can show you guys some of my Demon Souls fashion in my final build. But other than that, this is what it's going to look like. So getting in here, combat. This guy is not going to attack us. This is just meant to learn the combat. R1 are your light strikes. R2, your heavy attack. And a general rule of thumb that I tend to follow, and remember, everything I say is based on my experience, my gameplay, and how I do things. So if you have a different way, or if someone's watching that's been through all this stuff, you know, feel free to let us know your play style. But what I typically do is when I'm swinging, you got your light attacks, which are typically back and forth, and then you got your heavy attacks, which, if I recall correctly in this game, tend to be pretty similar. Whatever your weapon type is, it's going to be the same strike with a follow-up. So my general rule of thumb for this particular attack, because he attacks from the right side of his body when you hit it, I would go R1, R1, R2. I typically, whatever the heavy attack is, I try to hit the heavy attack whenever the arm is on the correct side. So just looking at it again, left side, right side, bam. Okay, so you're going to see that combo quite a bit. That's R1, R1, R2. And then, you know, once you hit that, then you can follow it up with that. Another heavy attack. As far as dealing with enemies, for new players, L1 is block when you got your shield. This is a great way to play the game. Look at that. We got a 100% block shield, which means no damage is going to get through. We could hold this thing up all day. He's going to recoil. When he does, wide open, bam, hit your combo. Right? So again, now we got multiple enemies. One way to take out multiple weaker enemies is to toggle back and forth with your lock on when you swing. So, whoops, hold on, let me get the timing. So when you swing, they were pretty close, but if you bounce back and forth depending on which one's either closer or about to strike you, you can knock them out of their attack. See, look at that. Nice and easy. Put that shield up, let the shield go to work, then counter attack. So that's the, you know, the basic gameplay, and it's the beauty of the knight starting class as well. because you got the big heavy armor. Yeah, you're going to move a little bit slower, but you've got plenty of defense. You've got this great shield, and you know, you're a little bit worry free. Now the other part is the parry, which is R2 timed when the enemy attacks, right when you're about to get hit. You can do it late. That was a little too late. You saw lost a little bit of life there. But the parry timings in Demon Souls I've found, in my opinion, are the most forgiving. Because you can generally, even if you get a partial parry and it takes off some of your life, you typically still get the animation to do the counterattack. Okay? So as you're going through, you know, with weaker enemies at different points, you can work on your parry timing. Because if you get that going, it will make things much, much easier and much faster to progress through certain levels where there's a bunch of weaker enemies. So, you know, as you go through whatever you're comfortable with, see, there's our combo. So that's the basic sword and board. Use your shield, get the block, hit your combo, R1, R1, R2. Taking them out. Alright, so now we're going to get to a tougher enemy, the Blue Knight. I like to parry these guys. See? Easiest way to take them out. Watch that arm, wait for that sword to come down, hit your parry, R2, or L2, excuse me, and take them out. Alright, I believe this guy is designed to get you to two-hand your weapon to get a guard break. But again, I like to, well, so you can also do that and wait for him to open up, because he tends to wind up when he swings, and then just swing through his attack with two hands. So as you're working through this, just get comfortable with, you know, whatever method you want to use to take out the basic enemies. Alright, so really quick, you can see in our usable equipment, we've got the grasses, the different grasses, crescent moon, half moon, recovers small amount, recovers some of the HP. There's I think 3 or 4 more levels of this, higher levels, and once you've got it slotted on your belt, you see on the directional pad there in the bottom left corner the square. You hit square once you're in game, and you use that to heal yourself. It's one of the things that some people complain about. Those healing items do make Demon Souls a little more grindier than the rest of the Souls games. But I've got some methods later on that will help deal with that, so you maybe only have to do it once or twice, and then you'll be good to go for the rest of the game. But we'll get to that later. Alright, as you come in here, look that way. There's an item down there, but this guy's coming for you, so make sure you're looking out for him. Oh, missed my parry. See, again, with the Knight class, you can miss a parry and you can take some hits. And that guy barely did any damage. That's not true for all enemies, but, you know, for the lighter, smaller enemies, work on your parry timing, because it is low risk, high reward. Alright, so this is the tutorial boss right through this fog gate here. And what we're going to do, for the sake of this, is we're going to remove our armor. And what that does is it lowers our equip burden, so that our rolls, which is circle on the PlayStation, bam. Hit circle, roll faster, gives us a much better roll. See, if we put the armor back on, first of all, look at that. Bam, that's not going to work. We want to be quick, we want to be lighter on our feet. Alright, so for the sake of this particular part, for this fight, we're going to go ahead and take that off. And you can also two-hand your weapon and remove your shield, but I like to have my shield out because I feel like it will, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it will potentially save you if you do end up getting hit here. Do you want to go at him? Oops, that was a bad roll. Circle around him. You want to stay behind him. So that's where you want to be. You want to be behind him. Watch the wings. He flaps his wings. He's going to go up in the air. 2 or 3 hits. Oh, I got stepped on. That was not good. Heal up real quick after he swings. Back away. Stay behind him. I started to mention, the thing you got to watch out for is when he gets up against the wall. That's when this fight gets pretty tricky. The more he does that move, the better it is for us. Keep circling him, depending on your position. The main thing, as it is with most enemies and most bosses, is don't get greedy. Get your swipes in, get back on defense, get reset. You're starting to get by that wall, so it's going to get a little tight. Ooh, that was a quick swing. Oh, that was close. See, he's in a really terrible spot right now. He's doing us a favor by facing the wall instead of us. That's going to change, I have a feeling. And Vanguard is down. Tutorial boss done for. Man, so back in the day, that guy killed probably pretty much everybody the first time they came through here. I know he sure got me. You know, back before people really understood equipment burden and, you know, fat rolling and all that kind of stuff. So for defeating him, we actually do get a reward. Go ahead and throw our gear back on. So we look cool. Because looking cool is definitely 80% of these games. So, and our reward is this area, which has some really good items for the start of our adventure. Got some high level grasses. Oops, shot of hardstone. So we also get upgrade materials, so we'll be able to +1 our weapon. Some soul items. And our final reward is a massive punch in the face.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. drawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended. This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Boletaria. Thou canst not exit the Nexus, but each of the 5 archstones will connect into another.
Alright, so we're in the Nexus. This is the central hub of Demon Souls. This is where we can access all the available areas through these archstones. This is how we're going to mark our progress, and we're going to move through these archstones in a very specific way to make it, in my opinion, the path of least resistance. It all depends on which way you attack or how you attack the archstones. A couple things here. This guy, Stockpile Thomas, he holds all your items so you can store things that you're not using. You can also deposit your upgrade materials, your stones, so that they don't affect your item burden. If you look in the bottom right corner, you've got the item burden, and that is really important to keep an eye on and to manage, because if it hits max, you can't pick anything up. You won't be able to pick anything up, and if you go to pick something up that you can't carry, it will drop it in the world, and I believe you will lose it. You will lose the ability to pick it up. So you definitely want to keep an eye on your item burden. Anything that can you can store, go ahead and do that every time you come back and forth, and we'll keep up with that as we go.
Rest assured.
So one of the things to note as well, get out of here. All right. So one of the things to note as well, if you have something equipped, you can't store it. So you have to unequip any items that you want to get rid of first. We'll get rid of the mail breaker because it's worthless. And it looks like we're good to go. So we got some soul items. We're going to wait to use those.
Gold. Don't let them take it.
Because we can't even level up right now. And as you can see, we're in soul form, so our life bar is halved. And we have to defeat the very first boss. And once we do that, we'll get our body form back. This guy here is important.
You knew them that's in trade with you.
He is our resident blacksmith, Baldwin. And we can upgrade our longsword. Because we beat the tutorial boss, we got those upgrade items. So we can go ahead and +1, squeak out some extra damage
Come back
as we head into the first level.
Business.
Couple other areas of note here before we go. I'm not going to deal with the NPCs, but as you progress through the levels, make sure on your time to check this area, to check this area over here as well, around the archstones sitting in this area here, and then up above, I'll run up there real quick. In this area up here. Beyond that, I don't believe there's any other place, so make sure from time to time you're checking these areas if you want to follow along with NPCs and anything else. Those are the important areas of the Nexus. I will be interacting throughout the playthrough with any NPC that can become a merchant or anything like that, so I'll hit those because those are going to be important within the level. But as far as any storylines or quest lines, we're not going to really get into that. I'll leave those to you so that I'm not spoiling the entire game. Because I do feel that, you know, while the combat and, you know, the bosses and all that stuff is important, I also feel like the exploration and the interaction with the NPCs and that kind of stuff is also what makes these games great. So I don't want to spoil that for you in your first playthrough. But with all that, on the next episode, we're going to take on start the Archstone of the Small King and get into the first area. So I will see you guys on the next episode of Night Souls.